Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. Nice packed house, and the overflow seating's getting filled up, too. So hopefully the live stream's working on our website right now. So we were really excited to start setting up this event because as a newsroom, we don't have the opportunity to engage the public in the way that we always liked to, and with limited resources. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I have to swallow this mic, huh? All right. I'm John Barry. I'm the editor of the Trentonian. I didn't announce that, did I? Okay. So we've gotten all the candidates here together today for this, and I want to thank everyone that's watching here in the room and everyone that's watching online. This is great to see this many people trying to get involved in the civic process and trying to impact Trenton in a positive way. We've got 7 great candidates here. I think everyone in the room knows, whoever you support, each one of these people up here is looking to make a positive impact on Trenton, and the only difference is each of them thinks they have the specific vision to do it best. So hopefully we're going to get an idea who each of you supports throughout this process. And we've got our moderators here today from the League of Women Voters, Karen Saracusa, and from right here at Mercer County Community College, Professor Alvin Haywood. And I really have to say thank you to Ed Guazda, Brian O'Neill, and Dr. Wong. This is fantastic. We set out to do this debate, and we had some roadblocks along the way. And as soon as we contacted the school, it all just went really smoothly. Thank you, Dr. Wong. And with that, Dr. Wong would like to say some things. Dr. Jimpao Wong.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Mercer County Community College. For those of you, this is your first visit. After the debate, we invite you to walk around because you may find some surprises. If this is your second and 10th visit, we welcome you to stay and look around because you may find new things that you didn't know because we have done a lot of expansion. I wanted to take this opportunity to really thank Trentonian to invite us to be part of this. We are a community college. We are here to serve the community. And there is no better way than to open our facilities to the community for this type of democratic process. So we are delighted and thrilled, and I want to introduce you to those men and women behind cameras. Take a good look at them. They are Mercer students.
Yeah.
And they are putting all of you on internet instantly, so behave. It's live streamed. It's live streamed. So those who couldn't make it here, those are homebound, those who didn't have time to travel, they are not excluded from this process. Our students, with the guidance from our faculty, are putting into practice of what they learn in the classroom. They're practicing what they learn for multimedia publicity, and they are doing a great job. You're all looking fantastic because of them. So I wanted to thank our students, I want to thank you, and I want to wish each and every candidate the best luck. And enjoy this process. We are so delighted you're here. Thank you very much.
One last note before I hand it over to our moderators. I'll be taking audience questions for the last round, and if you want to write down a question on one of these cards, come see me. I'll be floating around here with a camera probably, and just hand it back to me when you're done with it. And with that, here's our moderators. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Can you hear me? No, I can't hear me. Hello? Does that sound right? It doesn't sound. Yes? Okay. Keep talking. Within our approximate 90 minutes time, we will cover a number of topics important to Trenton. Questions have been generated by the Trentonian staff and other stakeholders and filtered through us, and others will be submitted by the audience present here. Candidates were assigned numbers by a random drawing just before the debate and are seated in that order. The questions were also assigned to these same numbers before the candidates arrived and drew, and that ensures fairness. To allow for more questions and topics, not all candidates will be asked the same exact questions. Candidates will be making 60-second opening remarks and then a 60-second closing remark. We have 6 rounds on topical questions. They will also have 60 seconds to answer each question. Each round covers one broad area. Within that broad area, we ask 3 questions, and each candidate will speak within the round. The exact question within the round will vary, but it will be on the main topic. We then move to a lightning round. Candidates will give one-word answers. Here, the same question is asked for each of the 7 candidates. In our last section, we will ask for audience-submitted questions. Again, candidates have 60 seconds to respond. We anticipate at least 7 such questions, but we may ask more if there are more questions. So write them down on your index cards and wave them, and they will be picked up. Finally, the candidates will make their closing remarks. Our timekeeper, Penny Ray, is right there, candidates, and he has a yellow warning card. A yellow warning card. And that gives you 10 seconds. So, you finish your sentence, but don't go on. We will stop you. And, of course, he has a red stop card. So now we would like to start with our opening remarks, beginning to my immediate left and working down the table. Thank you, candidates. Please begin.
Yes, my name is Walker Worthy Jr., and I'm running for the mayor of the city of Trenton because for me, commitment counts. For those of you who don't know me, I worked to teach kids at the Donnelly Homes how to read in the after-school program. I worked as a mentor at Hedgepath Williams Middle School. I also worked to change the Mercer County Clerk's Office from the last place to the first place in ranking in the state. Also, I'm one of the longest serving trustees at my church. Commitment counts. My vision for Trenton is simple. We want to live in a safe, clean environment. We want a revised waterfront. We want a vibrant downtown, a place where we can live, work, and play. And most importantly, we want to restore trust in our government. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Walker Worthy Jr., and commitment counts.
Time.
Yes, please begin.
Hello, my name is Duncan Harrison, and I'm running for mayor here in the city of Trenton. I'm running for mayor because we simply need change here in Trenton. We need a better education for our children. We need to decrease drug dealing and violence in our communities. We need new businesses, new jobs, and new life into our neighborhoods. I'm the youngest candidate up here on this stage. I have my degree in sociology with a focus on criminal justice. I have my master's in public administration as well as a human resources certification from Rutgers University. I'm qualified, I'm competent, and I'm committed to the residents. And let me go back because I said it, but I didn't preference it. I am the youngest candidate up here on the stage, so I did not have the opportunity to sit in the park when the Bears were there, when you had the Balloon Man, when you had a movie theater here in the city of Trenton, when you had a roller rink. I did not have that opportunity, but the opportunity I do have is to create that for the future for our residents and our children, and I am just committed to doing that. Being mayor for me is not about a title, it's about the work, and I will work for Trenton residents because I've been working since day one in my capacity as a legislator here in the city of Trenton and as a resident here in the city of Trenton. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate. Candidate Green.
Good afternoon. I'm Darren Freedom Green. In the first 100 days in entering City Hall, I will enter it not connected to the political machine which has killed off this city here, but rather as a person who's committed to the people of this city, bringing in competent, qualified directors to run each department as an efficient and effective machine, addressing the issues of the citizens in this city, no longer having potholes to deviate around or water we're not certain is clean or safe for us to drink. In the second piece, I'll continue my work with the superintendent in the schools, beginning to educate our children and empowering the parents at home and working to make sure we're not focused on test scores, but transforming our young people into walking excellence of academic majesty. It's important that we begin to make our educational system the foundation of all that moves here. In terms of economic development, I'll make sure any and all initiatives, ideas that come through here, first and foremost, are transparent. They'll also be able to make sure that the public is aware of what we're doing, and we'll also make sure all of our investments go to Trentonians, the people who live here, and not outsiders who've been robbing this city for over 40 years. I'm looking to be the next mayor of this city. I'm not a part of anything that's occurred before, but I'm the new beginning that we need to happen right now.
Thank you. Candidate Lateef.
My name is Annette H. Lateef, and I am running for Trenton simply because I believe in Trenton. I believe in Trenton's opportunity and hope. I have been around. I have experience. I've got quite a few degrees. Degrees matter. Experience is a must, but common sense rules this roost. As we move forward and we look to develop this city, trust, public safety, a clean city, all of that matters, but it matters with you. The partnership begins with the residents first. Economic development is real, and it means that if Trenton residents aren't the developers or the workforce, economic development is not working. You're gentrifying. And a little regentrification is okay as long as it includes the residents and you have the opportunity to participate in it. Strong leadership and experience. No matter what happens, there is no learning curve for the mayor's seat. It requires executive experience. I got what you need.
Thank you. And candidate Gasora.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Mercer County College for putting this debate on in the Trentonian. My name is Reed Gussiora. I'm in the General Assembly, and I've represented the capital city for the last 20 years. I'm also a lawyer by profession, and I started out as a municipal prosecutor for the city of Trenton. 20 years ago, I took a fiction writing class at Mercer County College, and I know that's perfect for a politician. But the reality is really across the street. If you look over your shoulder at Byers clothing store or the Broad Street furniture store, look what's in between it. That's the possibility for the city. I want to be a mayor who's focused on transforming the downtown to a viable economic zone. We need to clean up our city, clean up those boarded properties so we could present investors to come into the city and want to invest and create real jobs for our citizens. I want to be the mayor that's focused on the economic well-being of the downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Perez.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Perez, and I want to be your mayor. I've been serving the United States as an executive now for over 27 years, whether it be in the federal government, private sector, and in the public sector. I've been an executive. I've had the opportunity to see issues just like those that challenge us on a daily basis. As I knock on the doors and I go around the city, everyone in the city knows what the problems are. So they're not asking us what are the problems. They're asking us what are the solutions. As we look across the street, just like my counterpart just said here, I actually own one of those buildings. And it was abandoned. And I invested and I fixed it with my own money because I believe in this city. And I want to not only be an example, but I want to be a person of solutions. I want to be a person that includes everyone, and I want to be a person that truly understands what it takes to make Trenton a beautiful city.
Candidate Bethea.
My name is Alex Bethea, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Trenton. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming to hear us out. And secondly, I'd like to thank the Trenton Education Association for endorsing me as their candidate for mayor. I have a 5-point plan that I'm confident that we can turn this city around. First, public safety. Second, education, and I am your educational candidate, bar none. Housing and economic development. Stabilization of property taxes, and employment for Trenton residents. I want to emphasize that, Trenton residents. Now, I started this race out in October. I was the first one to start out. And I have not deviated one iota from my 5-point plan, and I will continue that right on through my mayorship. Thank you so much.
I would like to ask that we please hold the applause until the end. In the interest of time, I know we can be very emotional about this, so we can act like it's church with a if you will. So I'm gonna just move on to the first question for our first candidates Worthy and Duncan. The question is, community policing has become somewhat of a buzz phrase in recent years. How do you define community policing, And how do you plan to implement it?
Good question.
A timer, could you hold the time? And audience, just please don't, try to disrupt it all because they only have 60 seconds. Oh. Try not to say anything while they're talking because then we're going to reset the clock for them, and that's take a long time.
Community policing is simple. To me, community policing is hire people from your community to police their residents. That's community policing. You can hire police from all over the world and bring them in here. You have to retrain them to understand the people that they're policing. But if you hire people from the community, the people who are qualified to police, you have community police force. So that's community policing to me, not trying to disqualify people from the community from these good police jobs. If we want to effectively have community policing, we have got to be committed to hiring Trentonians to police Trentonians. That's community policing to me.
Thank you. Same question. Brother Duncan?
Thank you. So community policing is a multi-approach. So I believe in community caretaking. So making sure our police officers, one, reflect our community and reflect Trenton. Two, that they are actually involved and engaged here in the city of Trenton. That means we want our police officers to be basketball coaches, football coaches, soccer teams. We want to bring the Trenton PAL back, boxing coaches. So that is what we talk about when we talk about community policing and having our police officers know our neighborhood. And I think the third piece to that is that I would love for our police officers to live next door to me. I mean, because nothing is more important than knowing that you have an officer that lives right next door. And so instead of me having to go outside and tap on the window and tell that person you can't buy drugs here, I have a police officer that's already there that can come out and say, listen, if it happens again, everybody's going to jail. And so that's what community policing should look like in our community. And we need a strong director that's going to be able to implement that here in our community. Thank you.
The next question is for candidates Green, Latigue, and Gasiora. Assuming cops walking beats is part of your public safety plan, how do you intend to implement foot posts and not reduce response time to emergency 911 calls? Candidate Green?
Thank you. First and foremost, you have to create a culture where there's not a culture of oppression, but a culture of service and protecting. Right now, our police force isn't doing that. Right now, they're coming into communities and looking to eradicate the people who are there by the way they move and operate. So again, when we're talking about building relationships in the community, it begins with coming from an adversarial relationship where we see the police and we see the community as us versus them. We have to change that dynamic. We certainly want our officers to live in the community. We certainly want them to serve the community. But community policing is Officers Booker, Officers Munn, who work within the city, oftentimes having the ability to mentor, to teach, to walk, to talk, to help the young people begin to see that the police aren't the enemy, but they are certainly a friend to us. Strategical operations start from the director, and we will have a police director who's working in our city and inside of our communities who does not think about us as hood rats, but rather thinks of citizens who are people who are pride, who have respect, and who have care and concern and need to be taken care of in all aspects of reality.
Candidate Latigue, same question.
Considering the limited resources of the city, one of the things we have to do is something I've talked about often, and that's auxiliary policing. Auxiliary policing connects the police department to the community. Our officers must be trained by a strong police director to understand that it is the residents' tax base and grants that pay their salaries. They must come to understand and respect the people they work with. They must be willing to bridge. Auxiliary police officers help that. They're paid for by grants. They have the same training at the same facility. They do not prevent further hiring of police officers. They add to it by responding to non-emergent matters to free up our police officers to respond to the real emergencies, and they partner to work together for our community in terms of events, in terms of getting to know your neighbor. Everybody knew Ms. Green when I was on council. She wouldn't stand for anything less, and I think you should ask for the same.
And Candidate Gasiora.
Right now, our staffing levels, we have 247 police officers. At our heyday, we had 375. So simply, if you want officers to walk the beat, we need to hire more officers. I want to work with Governor Murphy because the state really owes the state capital a lot more money than they're putting in. We are the state capital, and the state should be compensating for the property exempt, the tax exempt properties that we have. The other thing is a lot of the officers with the war on drugs, I'm the one who introduced the bill in the legislature for recreational marijuana. I think cops have a lot better things to do than going after nonviolent offenders with simple possession of marijuana. And because of the disparity in arrests, that if we have the industry to come in here into the city, we can also offer real jobs to turn the Roebling buildings into hydroponic gardens, to have dispensaries here and have minority set-asides.
I want to ask that you please turn off your cell phones because, again, time is of the essence. So would you do that, please? Next question, and this is for candidates Perez and Bethea. What are the primary policy directives you will expect your police director to prioritize? Candidate Perez.
Thank you very much for that question, because that's probably one of the biggest things that's affecting our police force right now. Many people don't realize, but the Trenton Police Force has not been accredited on a national level for quite some time. And because of the failure to accredit the organization, they don't really have tested and tried industry standards that they go by. So what happens is that they write local policies, and sometimes those policies are just passed down or they're learned as they go through their daily duties. I look forward to finding a coordinator that I would name the coordinator for a CALEA, which is Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation, and I would bring that person in to specifically look at our standards, our policies, and how we go about implementing those practices as we go about doing our jobs. When we do that, we will professionalize the force, and we will reduce the amount of issues that we're having right now with police officers who are poorly trained.
Thank you.
I would have my director prioritize honor, accountability, and transparency. And officers should be honored at the highest level when they take the oath of office and put on that blue uniform. But at the same time, they need to be held accountable for their behavior. And if their behavior is unbecoming of that uniform, then we will hold them accountable. Those are my 3 areas of priority for my police director. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This round is on economic development, and the first question will be for 2 candidates, candidate Bethea and Gusiora. And if any candidate ever wants us to repeat the question, don't hesitate. It's very common to want the question repeated. What is your most important economic development opportunity, and how do you plan to advance it as mayor? Candidate Bethea.
I've indicated as part of my 3-point plan, housing and economic development. I understand my colleagues take a different approach, and that's fine. But my perspective of housing and economic development for this city, I would take an aggressive approach to revitalize our boarded up and abandoned houses, because that's my perspective of economic development in this city, and there is a must. We have more than maybe 10,000 houses that are boarded up and abandoned, and unless we do something with that, nothing's going to happen along with our education system. Thank you.
Candidate Gusiora.
The next mayor has to have the downtown area presentable. Across the street, we have to deal with the abandoned buildings so that we can instill the confidence for outside investors to come in and set up shop. The open drug market that's on South Broad and East State Street, we have to clean that up to make sure that, again, businesses can remain here and not have to worry about attracting customers. The other thing is that Governor Christie proposed tearing down 3 buildings, health, agriculture, and treasury. And he put, if you talk to an urban planner, they would say, put those buildings in the downtown or put them in a transit area. Well, they'll make the most sense and they'll foster development. Governor Christie put those buildings, the replacement buildings, outside the downtown. That makes no sense. We have to work with Governor Murphy and get the 3 new buildings, well, 2 new buildings, downtown or in the transit center, so it would foster more economic development, not less.
Thank you. The next question will be for 3 candidates in this order: Worthy, Perez, Latique. How will you help spur more small business creation in Trenton? Candidate Worthy?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, in order to spur businesses in our community, we have to make the business owners feel safe. Currently, we have a culture of businesses that call the police and don't get the response. We got to make the merchants feel safe in our city. That's the very first thing we need to do to stimulate business. And I'm going to do that by making sure that the police are more present in the business zones. We have businesses downtown that they don't feel safe because they don't see a police presence. We've got to get the police out of the precincts and downtown where the businesses are.
Thank you. Candidate Perez?
Thank you very much. I would create a small business office, and what I would do at the small business office is I would provide specialized training for those entrepreneurs who are interested in creating their own small business. What would we do during that time? We would teach you how to put your business plan together. We would connect you to a financial loan institution. We would make sure that you have mentoring and coaching to ensure that you are successful as you go through your business struggles of ups and downs. We know what the challenge is of the city, but we have to help you work through those challenges while we create the conditions that allows your business to flourish. So that would be my response to a question like that. It would be to make sure that we partner with the small business owners, teach them well, give them the resources that they need, and never abandon them. Stay with them.
Thank you. Candidate Latique?
Restoring trust, creating a safety zone. And what would we do if we didn't have any money? Collective economics. That's where the community gets together and builds their own Wall Street. Pop-up entrepreneurship, winning where we can. We need to create more opportunity and more training, because the reality of it is the city doesn't have a bunch of money to throw into anything. And I want you to remember that, because you're going to hear a lot about what we're going to do. We have to work with what we have. And in doing that, we create for our city and our residents a collective opportunity, period.
Thank you. The next question is for candidates, 2 candidates, Candidate Green and Candidate Harrison. What infrastructure plans do you have that would support the business community? Candidate Green.
There's been millions of dollars here wasted in terms of the historical reality of Trenton, in terms of giving money away to the hotel, giving money away to other places where no money has been invested in terms of small infrastructure that exists here. We have to begin to build a small business alliance in terms of making sure the small businesses that are here can be addressed. We have small businesses inside of this city who do not have a business plan. We need our economic development director who can sit down with them, begin to strategize how, where, and where they're moving forward, and begin to shape policy that moves them forward in that direction. It's absolutely essential that we stop investing in everybody outside of the city and strategically begin to invest in the people who are here. The small businesses here must be given opportunities to advance their economic position, and we cannot give outsiders and big-time business owners opportunities. For example, downtown, you cannot have Senator Torricelli get an abatement and Sunrise get nothing. We have to begin to invest in the people who live here, the small businesses that are here, and have strategies that meet their needs on an independent and isolated reality.
Thank you. Candidate Harrison?
Can you repeat the question for me?
Sorry. What infrastructure plans do you have that would support the business community?
Oh, thank you. So I think first and foremost, the 2 things that we need to address is, 1, safety, that our residents need to feel safe to patronize a business, and I think our small businesses also need to feel safe that they want to open a business in our community. I think the second part to that is that we need to make sure that we hire local contractors and local Trentonians when we are talking about opening these businesses. But the most important piece when you go around City Hall, because I've been a legislator for 4 years as a city councilman, is that we have to cut the red tape. There's no reason that housing and economic development should be on one floor and inspections should be on the floor, the bottom floor below it. They need to be able to communicate to make sure that when these small businesses come in, they know what opportunities that City Hall can present to him. So such as a Sunrise could come to the City of Trenton and say, hey, what type of tax abatements, what type of dollars, whether it's the Opportunity Zone Act or any other funding do you have that can help me spur my business and to help me grow? And these are the things that we need to do and make sure as the next mayor that I will do to present these opportunities to small business owners so that they can grow, flourish, and present jobs to our residents here in the city. Thank you.
This is the third round, education. And this is for candidates Latig and Perez. What do you believe are the greatest shortfalls of Trenton Public Schools, and how would you correct those issues? Candidate Latig.
Yes. ESSA is a big part of, and if you've heard me live, you've heard this before. ESSA is a big part of what we have to do to get on board with education. I think the weaknesses involve a lack of a relationship between labor and management. That's the school board. A lack of a real partnership with the parents. Parents have to be involved. It begins at home. But ESSA offers an opportunity that's never been offered before. And Obama put this in place. President Obama put this in place. Every child succeeds. That allows for flexibility with funding. We get to determine how many teachers we're going to have, how many psychiatrists, how many counselors, how many crossing guards, how many whatever it takes to make our kids special needs. How are we going to meet that? ESSA allows for the State Department to manage that for our municipality. The residents and labor need to be at the table when those discussions are being held. Partnership is the key to the success of Trenton Public Schools.
Candidate Perez.
Thank you very much. I've been a long-time partner to the Trenton Public School System, at least now consistently since the last 6 years or so, where we've had the opportunity to take a real thorough look at what we see happening in our public school system. I would say that the number one true issue is getting our finances together and managing them in such a way that we truly understand where that money is going. We sat on and we created a Board of Education, a community oversight committee, specifically to look at how money was being prioritized in our budget. And what we found was consistently resistance to the narrative, to explain to us why things were being cut versus why things were being kept. At one time, we lost 92 paraprofessionals. And those paraprofessionals were responsible for taking care of our children with special needs. But nobody ever explained to us what was more important than our children. And that was a big issue for me. So I'll continue to focus on that area. Thank you.
This question is for candidates Harrison, Gusciora, and Bethea. As mayor, what are your plans to prepare Trentonians for the jobs of the future and prevent people from being left behind? Candidate Harrison?
Thank you. So as the Associate Executive Director, one of our at UIH Family Partners, one of our focuses is working with men, fathers, and families to help them achieve self-sufficiency. So we deal with a lot of gentlemen that come out of prison as well as off of the streets and up into our centers to receive help to find jobs. And so one of the things we do is it's very hard to provide for your family when you're making $8.25. And so what we do is we provide free certifications such as OSHA certifications that will allow them to go out there and work on the construction sites. We provide them ServSafe certifications so they can go and work in the restaurants. We could provide them Flagger certifications so they actually can stand on the street and hold the stop sign. But also we work with a better way to provide them forklift certifications so that they can work in the warehouse, and instead of making that $8.25, they're making that $14, $15, $16, $17 an hour so that they can provide for their family. And so as the next mayor, we have to make sure that we continue things like this and make sure that we're working with our unions as well as our colleges to provide different trade skills so that they are able to function and provide jobs where they can provide for their family here in the city of Trenton. Thank you.
Candidate Bethea?
One of the things,
Oh, I'm sorry, Gusciora. I'm sorry.
one of the things we've learned recently is there's 60 vacancies in the waterworks department. And yet now the city has to get a waiver for residency waiver so that we can hire outside this city. It makes no sense. We need to partner up with our vocational schools, our colleges, so that our residents then can fill those jobs. We were not able to fill those waterwork employees. We need waivers, but we need to do it smart by setting up apprenticeships and also vocational learning with our vocational school. The other is police. We need 100 officers. They need to be Trenton residents, and then we need to convince them to stay in our city. Too many officers leave the city after they've been here for a year. We have 1/5 of our housing stock is either foreclosed or abandoned. We need to work again with vocational programs, the trades, to get these houses back on the rolls and offer them to police. If you stay here, you can live in one of these homes.
Candidate Bethea.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I was hoping that you would ask me the question about education, but it didn't fall on my lot. But I'm okay with that. I can squeeze some of it in. Anyway, when we talk about preparing people for our future, and we understand that the educational system is the lifeblood of the community, we have to prepare our youngsters early. And my plan includes starting at kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, notwithstanding the other grade levels. But if we're looking at long-term, instead of immediate fixes, the Band-Aid effect, we have to start early with our youngsters and work with them right on up through their educational career. And that's the way you change it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This question is for candidates Worthy and Green. As mayor, how do you plan to boost student civic engagement and get youth involved in government and public service?
Wow. Well, first of all, we know that the children are our most natural resource. We got to get them engaged. One of the ways that we get them engaged is to mentor them and bring them out and take them on trips so they can see how our government works. A lot of our children haven't even been to the State House. When I was in the classroom, we used to take the kids to the State House and get them involved in government activities. If we leave the children in the classroom and don't give them no exposure or no experiences, how do we give them the thirst to want to get involved in the political structure of our city? We've got to get them outside that class and into get them some exposure and to take them on trips, because and also mentor them. Mentoring is another way. After school programs, we got to get grants to get after school programs like we had before, like Weed and Seed and the other programs that are very important in getting the children engaged in civic activities.
Thank you. And Brother Perez. Thank you. Candidate Green.
They often mistake us.
Candidate Green.
All right now. One of the greatest crimes, though, committed was the removal of civic education from our public school systems. Many of our young people, our young minds are amazing, but if the only time they are devoted to or exposed to civic education is when they graduate at the age of 18 and we scream, go, yell, and vote, it does not impact their reality. They need to have civic education as a part of their curriculum so they understand what civic duty is, civic responsibility. And the most important reality in communities like Trenton and across this country is understanding that you can march from here to Jerusalem, but if you do not construct a policy to change and address the issue you are talking about, then nothing will change. Our young people have to learn also that they have to stop looking for elected officials and become the elected officials so they can begin to come back into their communities, shape policy to address their issues, work in civic associations where year-round we can work on the issues and concerns that impact this city on a day-to-day basis. So many people in here have critical questions, are engaged right now, but after the election cycle is over, they go back to sleep. We need young people to move the civil rights movement like they moved the civil rights movement to move Trenton forward now in a civically responsible manner.
Okay, the next round is on entertainment in Trenton. And the first question will go to candidates Bethea and Perez. So the question is, one of the biggest complaints from city youth is that there's not enough entertainment options in Trenton to deter children from crime. What entertainment options do you believe will thrive in Trenton, and how do you plan to bring those options to the city? Candidate Bethea.
Good question. Let me start that question by saying that my family and I instituted a wrestling program in the school system. We started at third grade, early third grade, fourth and fifth grade in middle school, to try to get youngsters involved and engaged in activities because we understand that it's very important. Now, as we know in this room that our young people do not have a lot of engagement opportunities, particularly in activities. But I can say this to you, and this is very important to me, and it's been happening a while, and we can change this. On the weekends, all of your gymnasiums throughout this city are closed, and if you want to go in there, you gotta pay. Does that make any sense? For a community? Libraries as well. That's unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Audience?
And I tell you.
Audience? Candidate Perez, same question.
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, I think that that there are, or there is a need for us to look at all the resources that we have available right now that we are not properly using and open them up to the public. We definitely need to do that. But we need to have an agenda as to what it is that we want to bring as recreation or entertainment for our youth. As a nonprofit president, I was involved in creating a municipal or local orchestra band that gave the children an opportunity to learn or expand upon what they were learning in school when it came to youth music. And we earned a small grant from the Office of Cultural, the Office of Cultural Diversity in Mercer County government. But there are other individuals who are running programs like boxing and other gymnastic type activities throughout the city, but they just need somebody to partner up with them to get them the right resources.
Thank you. This will be for 3 candidates, Gusiora, Latigue, and Green. The question is, as mayor, what would you do to make the, am I pronouncing this right, CURE? To make the CURE Arena thrive and become an entertainment destination? Candidate Gusiora.
Well, right now, the county has shortchanged the arena by having a contract with a booking agency that allows the arena to operate at a loss. If I was the county, I would say we need a better agreement than that. So we need to work on not only the booking of the arena, but the War Memorial. That used to be such a viable downtown venue, and again, because of the state, that has not been booked to its potential. So we need someone to work not only with the state, but work with the county and put the resources so that we can have a viable entertainment destination, both with the War Memorial and with the CURE Arena. Other than that, we need to also work on the appearance of Trenton. We have to get the Trenton downtown viable so that people feel safe to come back into the city. And that's why economic development and public safety are so important and linked.
Thank you. Candidate Latigue?
Yes, I think that when we make deals that don't benefit the city, the CURE Arena is what happens. There's a lot that should happen at the CURE Arena, and the first thing we need to do is build a partnership to ensure that the interests of the residents and the region are met so that we get the type of entertainment in there that works for us. For example, there should be a lot of things going on there for our kids. We talk about our kids not having anything to do. That's the first place to start. That's one of the first places to start. The other thing is, I want to sing. They won't let me sing there, though. But I can see, some part of that or something near it becoming a recording studio to take that talent. We have some great talent here. To take that talent out of that studio and into that arena. That's how it works for communities, partnering with the communities to ensure that the needs of the residents who live here are met.
Thank you. Candidate Green?
The original relationship with the Cure Arena was not to be inclusive of the city of Trenton. That's why there's no jobs there. That's why the city makes no revenue from there. So we have to approach it with that in mind. We have to change the dynamic of that relationship and begin to open it back up. There should be internships and opportunities and all that goes on in the arena, whether it's economic development, whether it's the business, whether it's entrepreneurial. We should be working to allow the positions that are in that arena to open itself up to the students who are here. When you begin to dialogue with the county executive, we need to dialogue about what kind of shows we want to have here. Again, we exclude the people from this city from everything and then ask why they don't come to anything, because they're not a part of the fabric of what is being done here. So again, the dialogue has to be at the county level with the county executive, who always is talking about we can't have a good county without a good capital, but what is he willing to invest in that in terms of dialogue, open transparency, and open communication? I think the last piece would be when you do events there, you need to connect with the schools, the churches, the nonprofits here, so the people who live in the city can know what's actually happening there and then participate in going there.
Thank you. This will be for candidates Harrison and candidate Worthy. And it's the last questions in the entertainment round. Assuming there are not enough police currently employed to cover the city, how would you ensure the public's safety during their engagement in new entertainment options that you may bring to Trenton? Candidate Harrison.
Well, I think the first piece of that is that we need to go to the state of New Jersey and say, listen, you need to pay your fair share. We're tired of you cutting our budget. We're tired of you cutting our transitional aid. And you take a lot of property in state buildings here in the city of Trenton, and you're giving us crumbs for the land that you actually sit on. So we need to be able to raise the revenue so that we can hire more police officers to cover these districts. And I think the second piece of that is that Trenton is so much more than just downtown. We have a downtown that we can develop. We can develop around the Cure Insurance Arena. We have waterfront property that we need to develop as well. And that's why I was in favor of the entertainment districts, because I believe in the future of this city. And Trenton cannot be a this or that city. We have to be a this in that city, and we can do all these things simultaneously. So as we're beginning to develop, as we're beginning to build, we have to tap on the state to provide more state troopers. We have to tap on the county to bring in the sheriff's officers in. It's not like they're down there in D.C. They're a hop, skip, and a jump right away from City Hall, so they can come right here and help us do what we have to do to build the city of Trenton that we believe in. Thank you.
Candidate Worthy.
Yeah, first of all, we have to change the mindset of our people. Folks, Trenton is not a place where people are, when we go downtown, people are getting jumped on or mobbed. That's not happening here. We can't use the excuse of it's not enough police to have activity going on. That's an excuse. We have things going on, and we don't need a police presence at every single event that we have downtown. That's a myth. People can feel safe in Trenton. We do have crime. Crime is everywhere, but we can't use that as an excuse to prevent entertainment from coming here. But one of the things that I will do is get some of those officers out of those buildings and onto the places that we need recreation and activities. That will make sure that we see their presence. We can't see their presence if they're pushing paper in City Hall or if they're pushing paper in the police headquarters. They got to get out of those headquarters and onto the streets so we can see their presence. But we don't need a police state in Trenton.
Thank you, candidate. We're going to take a very short 5-minute break, and that really means 5 minutes, so time yourself with your clocks, and we'll start again at 4.
Thank you. Oh, she made it.
Politics up in here, brother.
What happened to reserved seats?
Somebody's getting paid up
Because
here,
my
right?
people are pushed out.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you. Man, watch out. I got 40 years in that joker. You know what I'm saying? What else I'm going to say? I got to go down with something, man.
Here I'm on the sneak because that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. I appreciate that, Darren. Even if I don't see you, I appreciate that. The same here. As a matter of fact, what I want to do with you and I mean it. Because you know what?
All right, thank you, everybody. We've collected a whole bunch of audience questions, and your questions are all fantastic, and there's just way too many of them for the amount of time we have. So we've kind of randomly pulled some of them, and we'll be asking a good assortment on a variety of topics. We've kind of tried to weed it down according to, stuff that's not terribly repetitive to the questions we've already asked, and not repetitive to the questions that you guys have asked each other. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to our moderators. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This round is about quality of life issues. And this is for candidates Perez and Green. Trash is a common sight in the city. What would you do as mayor to ensure the city gets clean and stays clean? Candidate Perez.
Thank you for the question. I have actually been working on this for several years now, volunteering to clean up neighborhoods, getting other organizations to work with us to go out throughout the city, working together with the city, working with members of city council. We've been out cleaning up and doing our part. But now what we really need is a functional process or system that includes our city workers and gives them a strategy on how they can maintain the cleanliness. But we also need the cooperation of our public. The public needs to take some responsibility. We'll create a baseline and create the natural piece for you to feel safe and feel clean, but we do need you to participate to keep it clean. Now, for those abandoned pieces, we will definitely create a piece where we would hold accountable those landlords who are not present and do not take care of their properties.
Candidate Green, thank you.
It is absolutely essential we stop pointing fingers at the city and the city as an institution about cleaning up our city. Cleanliness starts at home. And we have to begin to work in our communities. My beautiful green-eyed mother assigned me to cleaning the front porch each and every Saturday. Imagine if every family living in every community just cleans their house in front of their place where they stay at. Everybody on the community cleans, we have a community cleanup. You don't need an elected official to come there with balloons and all of that for you to take responsible behavior in terms of cleaning up your community. We also need to work, develop, and elevate and educate people in terms of civic associations, which work year-round to address lights that are out, addressing abandoned properties, working within the community, and helping the community clean up itself on a consistent basis. Too many times we look for elected officials to do what we must do. We must elect ourselves to move into a position of making sure our communities remain clean. Do I think the city has a responsibility in that? Yes. We're working now as a mayor with the community reps, the ward reps, going out into the community, having community forums about trash pickups, about events we can have in there, cleaning up our community with the ward reps on a consistent basis, not trying to make sure the city does it, but rather the citizens are empowered to do it.
Thank you. This next question is for candidates Latigue, Bethea, and Worthy. As state lawmakers explore the adult use of marijuana, some municipalities have already said they would not allow pot production or sales. What position would you take as mayor? Candidate Latigue.
I support legalized marijuana. And I support it because I had a sister who had cancer, and it went a long way in helping her survive, helping her with her pain, helping her function. It has its place. Rather than locking up people, legalize it and make the tax money from it. It's a reality. It's here. It comes from the ground. This is not manufactured in a lab. It's grown in the ground, and I absolutely support legalizing it. I support the opportunity for residents to be, involved in that process. It's going to be a big moneymaker. The same way they started taking care of opiate addiction, where were they for so long? It's the same way you cannot be left out of the process of what's getting ready to happen. is big business. It's coming, just like gambling. It's coming.
Thank you, candidate Bethea.
Yes, let me kind of give a different kind of answer, and I'm not going to give you the answer that the public wants because that's not the way I roll. I'm a little bit nervous about the idea because this thing could get out of hand, and I'm not sure because when I say out of hand, I'm talking about getting to kids, and I don't want the guy who's driving my airplane or piloting, you know, too high up. So I'm a little bit cautious. I'm a little more cautious about this thing than maybe perhaps my some of my colleagues that's running for mayor. So I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure. I want to do a little more research on that. Make sure that we have all the safety things in place before we can prevent this from getting to our kids. Thank you.
Candidate Worthy. However, audience, if you would please hold your comments down, please. We need this in the interest of time. Thank you so much, Candidate Worthy.
Yes, I'm for the legalization and the decriminalization of marijuana. Here's why. First of all, revenue. We need that revenue. Look at states like Colorado and Washington State. They're using that money to take their states and their cities into the future. They're using that revenue for good causes. And also, when the police pull over someone and arrest them for marijuana, it's our kids that's going to jail. It's our parents that have to pay the legal fees just for marijuana. Another thing, when police pull over people and they arrest them for marijuana, it takes 3 hours worth of paperwork to handle that when they could be utilized doing something else besides doing paperwork for a little pot. We gotta be smart about this, folks. We're going to jail, we're going to prison because of marijuana, and it's not a big deal. We need that revenue, and we need to make sure that our children are not handicapped because of a little marijuana.
Thank you. This next question is for candidates Reed and Harrison. It's no secret that the shortage of police in Trenton allows lawbreakers to negatively affect the quality of life of residents. How do you plan to increase police staffing levels to where they were before 2011 layoffs?
We need to work with the governor. When Bonnie Watson Coleman was in the assembly, along with Shirley Turner, we got up as much as $70 million in a line item called Capital City Aid. When Governor Christie came in, it went down to single digits. So we need, the next mayor has to be a partner with this new governor, Governor Murphy, and make sure that we return to the money levels that the state should be paying into the capital city. And then we can hire more officers. Back to the marijuana, I was the author of the medical marijuana bill. I also was the author of the PTSD, allowed for marijuana for PTSD. And in an urban area, it's just not, PTSD is just not for veterans. PTSD is for urban crimes, for shootings, for the lack of jobs, and the disparity in arrests. And if we have dispensaries in the city of Trenton with minority set-asides, we could return economic progress to the very people that were shortchanged by this war on drugs.
Candidate Harrison.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's no secret that the shortage of police in Trenton allows lawbreakers to negatively affect the quality of life of residents. How do you plan to increase police staffing levels to where they were before the 2011 layoffs?
Thank you. So I believe that we cannot police our way out of crime here in the city of Trenton. And I do agree with the assemblyman that we did get a line item of upwards of $40 million in capital city aid, which Governor Christie took away and cut that down to $25 million and reduced it every year and made the city of Trenton raise their taxes to cover that loss. And so when we lost that money, we lost police officers, firefighters, public works employees, libraries, all types of things. And so as the next mayor, one, I will be committed to work with the assemblyman to make sure that we get that line item back into the city of Trenton and the state pays their fair share. The second piece to that is that I've also believed that we need to implement things such like I have pushed for, like ShotSpotter. So when shots go off in our neighborhood, the police can detect what type of gun, where the shot came from, and they can actually hear so that they can respond faster to these actual incidents. We also push for additional cameras. And if I had the dollars, I would make those cameras interact with ShotSpotter, so when the shots go off, the cameras spin in that direction so we can see what's going on in that area. And the last piece to that is that we also have to look at environmental design to increase lighting and things of that nature in our community to help the police do their job.
Thank you. Our next round is on a favorite topic, money, city finances. First question is for candidates Green and Gusiora. First candidate Green. It's no secret that the city's tax roll cannot fully fund the services it provides to residents. What is your plan to attract new residents and retain existing ones? Candidate Green.
Two issues that really keep people from exiting or wanting to come here. First and foremost is the educational system, which makes people not want to live here. The second piece is the high taxes. So again, the taxes are an investment on the services you receive. We have to begin to clean that up inside of City Hall. City Hall has now become a place or an operation where people are not getting good service. You call down there and you're treated in a disrespectful manner, and when you look for department directors to address the simple issues such as potholes, such as cleaning up, such as dealing with the water, then you have individuals who have run this thing into a hole based on the nepotism that exists there. People are interconnected for the last 40 years, so cleaning that up as the mayor, putting competent, qualified, committed directors in play will again change the dynamic of how this paradigm moves forward. I also think we have to begin to protect the homeowners who exist here now by, again, keeping people from moving out, keeping people living here and wanting to be here, and again, working on economic development within the people who live here and exist within the city so we can protect the taxpayers who are here and also make them comfortable knowing that we want them to stay here.
Candidate Gusiora.
I want to establish a 311 phone system. Hamilton does it next door, and a few other towns do it, for quality of life complaints, so we can track illegal dumpers, we can track potholes, abandoned buildings, and then prioritize where we need to clean up. Because unless we can present this city to the outside world, no one's going to come in here and invest or live here. So we have to have a mayor that's focused on each neighborhood and make sure that we're presentable. We also need to hire more inspectors. If we had inspectors going out looking for the garbage and debris, that's a money generator for the city. If you have a $1,000 fine on garbage and then offer a bounty of $100 for somebody to report that illegal dumping, you have a win-win where a citizen is doing their part but also getting an award. The city, on the other hand, is collecting fines. Same thing with meters. We have no meters in the city that are workable. We need to install them along with meter enforcement officers.
Thank you. The next question is for three candidates in this order: Harrison, Worthy, Bethea.
Excuse me. It's been about 4 questions before you've asked me anything. I have not been in the round for 4 questions now.
You're on the next question in this round.
But that's been 4 now.
Yeah, let me look back.
Yeah.
Okay, I have them written down, so I'm not really counting myself. And you were in quality of life. Everybody's one time in a round. You were in quality of life. I think you were. It may be that you have a long lag, and it may seem like you're not.
No. You've asked 4 questions, and I haven't been part of it.
I've only asked one question.
No, the monitors have.
I want to respect your request, and I asked John Barry just to review the thing he handed to us, because we can't do it at the second, and he'll let me know, okay? All right, so now I hadn't asked the question, did I? It's candidates Harrison, Worthy, and Bethea. Given the budgetary constraints and pressure to keep taxes as low as possible, how will the city, under your leadership, address the many pressing needs of residents and businesses for improved services and amenities? Candidate Harrison.
So I've served on the budget committee as a city councilman at large for the past 3 years, and we worked hard every year to make sure that we got a budget in so we did not have to raise taxes on residents or keep taxes as low as possible. And with a governor that continued to squeeze us out, it was very difficult. But one thing that I can say is that when I came in to the budget committee, the process was very antiquated. The individuals went line by line, and they were cutting simple things like pencils, pens, paper, and how much of that are you going to cut when you actually want to be effective? And so moving forward, as the next mayor of the city of Trenton, I plan to implement a new budget process where we actually plan. So when we talk about if we're going to budget, what are we budgeting for? We're budgeting because we want to put new lighting up. We're budgeting because we want to fill potholes in the streets. We're budgeting because we want to pave the roads and want to make sure that PSE&G is not going to come behind us after we've paved the roads, tear it back up, and not do anything about it. We're budgeting for more libraries, better school systems. And so we want to make sure that we put a budget in place that can go 5 to 10 years down the road so the next mayor can come in with a budget already in hand and not have to guess what happened with the last administration.
Thank you, candidate. Candidate Worthy.
First of all, we've been saying this all night, but it's so important. We got to have payment in lieu of taxes from the state. We have got to, Trenton has got to get more support from our government that we host every single day. We host thousands of people who come to Trenton and they leave us with nothing but the exhaust from their fumes. We gotta get more money from the state of New Jersey so that we can sustain our city. But we also have to go after funding through grants. We had a couple missed opportunities, but we can't look at that now. We have to go after the grant money aggressively so we can get money to maintain what we need to maintain. Also, we have to have shared services. We have to share services with other municipalities and the county so that we can still continue to do more with less.
Candidate Bethea.
Yes, I strongly agree with Worthy. When I'm the mayor, it will be on the top of my agenda. Yes, that's right. Yeah. They taking my time, moderator. I can't talk. Thank you. Yes, when I'm the mayor, that would be a priority for me personally to meet with this new governor, and he seems to be approachable, and we will have that conversation about those same things that Worthy talked about. I'm not going to repeat them because you know, we have thousands and thousands of people coming to our community on a daily basis, and they leave nothing. And we have to fix the potholes that they create, and we have to provide public safety through our police department, and that will cease under my administration. But at the same time, I will look at the waste that we may have to do some of these other things that we're not doing at the present time. So thank you so much.
Candidate. This is the last round in finances, and two candidates, Candidate Latigue and Perez, in that order. Candidate Latigue, how will a $15 minimum wage impact businesses and workers in Trenton, and how would you take on the fight?
Partnering with our legislators, number one. Partnering with residents and businesses, number two. Listen, the more money you have, the more money you spend, right? So if they're paying a fair and decent wage for people to live, the economic base changes in the city. It's really just that simple. People cannot afford to live on $8 and $10 an hour. Actually, it would be great if they could pay them more than that. But the more money you bring into the city, the better the city is. When residents thrive, the city thrives.
Thank you.
Anything else is waste.
Thank you. Candidate Perez?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Given the budgetary constraints and pressures to keep taxes as low as possible, how will the city, under your leadership, address the many pressing needs of residents and businesses for, oh, I'm sorry, I really apologize.
That wasn't the question.
I am on the last question, much simpler. How will a $15 minimum wage impact businesses and workers in Trenton, and how would you take on the fight? $15.
So $15 sounds like a lot of money, but Trenton deserves more. There are a whole bunch of private industries going up around the county, our neighboring counties, and we're talking about $15. If I'm a small business and I'm operating in Trenton, and I just opened up, and we just had that conversation, and I'm struggling to keep my business open, even though I want to pay you $15, it will put me out of business. So we really need to be talking about how do we create the conditions that's going to get some of these bigger businesses to come in and give us some real jobs and include us in this real race of life. Thank you very much.
All right, we've reached the 7th round a lightning round. We're going to ask you to answer the question yes or no. We're going to go right down the line. Would you be in favor of a county police force similar to that of Camden and what they've implemented? Candidate Worthy?
No.
Harrison?
No.
Green?
No.
Latigue?
No.
Gutierrez?
Hell no.
Perez?
No.
Bethea?
No.
Would you support the continuing expansion of charter schools in Trenton?
No.
Brother Harrison?
No.
Green?
Hell no.
Candidate Latigue?
Absolutely no.
Candidate Gutierrez?
No.
Candidate Perez?
No.
Candidate Bethea?
No.
Next question. Would you replace the current police director and hire a new one?
Yes.
Candidate Worthy?
Yes.
Candidate Harrison?
Yes.
Candidate Green?
Yesterday.
Candidate Latigue?
Last month.
Candidate Gutierrez?
Yes, with a lag.
Candidate Perez?
Absolutely yes, right now, this very moment.
Candidate Bethea?
I've already requested that months ago. Truth is, I did.
This is one word, yo.
So did I.
Yeah. Next question. Do you believe there are currently enough police officers employed to carry out your plan? Candidate Worthy?
No.
Candidate Harrison?
No.
Candidate Green?
No.
Candidate Latigue?
No, that's why I support auxiliary
One word,
police.
please. Candidate Gutierrez?
No.
Candidate Perez?
No.
Candidate Bethea?
No.
Would you crack down on police and fire department overtime spending? Candidate Worthy?
Yes.
Candidate Harrison?
Yes.
Candidate Green?
Yes.
Candidate Latigue?
Yes.
Candidate Gutierrez?
Yes.
Candidate Perez?
Yes.
Candidate Bethea?
Yes.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I apologize to everybody. Don't do that. Now we all know the answer to.
Beloved,
Everybody knows the answer to these questions.
listen,
Hold up, y'all stop.
thank you, yeah, bruh. Thank you, beloved.
That was interesting.
Respect.
That was a good drama moment.
Next question,
That was strategic to the plan.
please. Will you employ an education liaison in your administration to work with the school district and keep better tabs on education issues? Candidate Worthy?
Yes.
Candidate Harrison?
Yes.
Candidate Green?
Yes.
Candidate Latigue?
Yes.
Candidate Gutierrez?
Yes, important.
Candidate Perez?
No.
Candidate Bethea?
Absolutely. That's a yes.
Thank you. Would you require the superintendent of Trenton Public Schools to live in the city? Candidate Worthy?
Yes.
Candidate Harrison?
Yes.
Candidate Green?
Yes.
Candidate Latigue?
Yes.
Candidate Gutierrez?
Yes.
Candidate Perez?
Yes.
Candidate Bethea?
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have audience questions, and they will be repetitive, but I think we should honor and respect the audience members who have taken the time to write a question and they care deeply about it. Although this first one is a very general question, and I'll start with candidate Worthy. 1 minute again. What will you seek to accomplish in your first 100 days of office? And it's only one question per candidate, and they're not going to be the same.
In my first 100 days, I would put my team together. I would have a smart and smooth transition, bringing in the experts and the directors to sit at the table to let them know my vision, and also do extensive training on personnel, both my directors and the people at City Hall.
Thank you. The next question will be for candidate Latigue. This is the audience question. As a current student, how can we better the Trenton school systems for the students?
I'm sorry?
How can
Would
we
you repeat that?
improve the Trenton school systems for the students?
Provide an opportunity for the students to learn. Connect the parents to the system first. connect the students to the teachers. When kids go to school, they don't just go to school and they're at daycare from 8:30 to 3:30. They are there to learn. That learning should be connected to home, and home should be connected to the schools. And in that, we have to meet the needs of parents. There are some real needs. A lot of parents need training. A lot of parents need support. A lot of parents need resources. The way you fix it is to fix the home. Work in the home, connect it to the school, connect the school to home. So this is around the world.
Thank you. This is for candidate Perez, and this is on safety. As a young teen in the city, I would like to see gun violence disappear. What are your plans for ending it all for good? How can you ensure our safety?
That's a very good question because it affects you on a daily basis. And what we're responsible for doing is creating a condition or an environment where you can not be the victim of violence, or you have safe places to go, learn things, and better yourself. This city just doesn't do enough to keep our children safe. We don't provide them enough opportunities that they can make choices or take on the difficult task of getting on with the game of life. We need to create an environment, a learning environment for our children that provides them options, that keeps them safe, and that keeps these individuals who come here and conduct unscrupulous acts in our city, and we hold them accountable. We let them know that our children are worth more than you know, and we will do whatever it takes to keep them safe.
This question is for candidate Harrison. I randomly assigned the number, so there's no assumption that you have anybody has held public office. What have you done to change or contribute or improve the city of Trenton in the last 2 years? Candidate Harrison.
Thank you. So as councilman at large, one of our main functions is as a legislator. So we've approved over 1,400 resolutions, maybe 2,000 ordinances, something to that likes. But I think my most important accomplishment is in the community, right? Because that's where my work begins. That's what I'm about, the work. And I can tell you countless stories of when I've had calls from individuals and gone into homes where a single mother was sleeping on the floor in the front room in the dead of winter with 6 kids around a space heater. The electrical sockets weren't working. The stove was spray painted on. There were mice running all around the place. And come to find out she was paying rent to an individual that didn't even own the home. So this is the work that I'm talking about. That's just one story of many. I can tell you another story about a family on Stuyvesant Avenue when the building began to collapse on them, and I got the call, and I was able to call the director of inspections and get them out there to tear that building down so that family could stay in that home. And if you go out there now, that house is stabilized. There's a lot, and hopefully we can redevelop it. But my work has been and always will be done in the community, and that's the type of mayor I'm going to be, a mayor that's in the community doing the work. Thank you.
Candidate Bethea, this question is for you. What are you going to do to solve all of the unsolved murders in Trenton?
That's a good question, and to be truthful, I don't have the answer to that question, but I'll tell you what. I will tell you what, when I become the mayor, I will come to the table with those experts who have the answer, and I will make sure we get the job done. That's the best I can give you right now on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for, audience, please. Thank you. This next question is for candidate Gutierrez. If elected mayor, what would be your strategy as it relates to the abandoned houses, absentee landlords, and the cleanliness of the city?
Well, again, I would establish a 311 phone system where residents can call in complaints, and then the mayor can prioritize what abandoned housing we have to take care of. It makes no sense when a main artery like Chambers Street, you drive into the city and you see McRae's old laundromat there with the roof collapsed, and then also there's abandoned housing. So in order for us to instill confidence for people to invest in the city, we need to prioritize what housing, what buildings we're going to take down, but also we've got to have more inspectors to go after those absentee landlords. Again, if we had high fines and a bounty, we can have a win-win situation for citizens calling in the complaints, and then inspectors going after the fines means real revenue into the city, and start to go after those abandoned houses.
Thank you. This question is for candidate Green. Cannabis is expected to be a new marketplace in New Jersey. Are you supportive of this new marketplace, and are you willing to commit to this marketplace and establish an economic impact on Trenton's residents?
To answer the question, yes. Moving forward with it, I think you have to bring in those who are doing it across the country. There are areas where this is impacting lives. Again, when you begin to look at the prison industrial system, the majority of people sitting inside those cells are black, brown, and yellow. They're directly impacted by this whole deal with the illegal, with marijuana and the whole situation itself. So again, we need to be able to address it from that perspective in terms of criminal justice and understanding what needs to be done there policy-wise, but we also need to understand and use this as an economic revenue generator perspective where we can begin to make sure this is helping out in our communities. Across this country, again, there are places who are using this for jobs, for opportunities. And again, when Trenton is always crying broke, we have to move out of the old, stale mindset that's been here for 40 years and be open and receptive to new opportunities that are impacting this country. But again, it stayed in the same place that it's in now because you've had the same leadership for the last 40 years. I haven't been a part of that. I'm something new. I'm something bold. I'm something courageous. I'm something intelligent. You want to jump on this movement.
We have one more set of questions from the audience. And I just want to say they probably will be some repetition, but we want to honor the audience. So each candidate will get one question. And we're just going to take them back and forth. Questions for candidate Harrison. If you are elected mayor, what are your development and redevelopment plans? Will these plans foster or hinder displacement?
So no. My redevelopment plans will not foster displacement. It will actually encourage more homeowners here in the city of Trenton. So we have over 6,000 abandoned buildings, and probably about abandoned buildings here in the city of Trenton. 1,500 of those are city home. And so what I want to do as the next mayor on day one is make that assessment and use the Abandoned Property Rehabilitations Act to take those abandoned properties, make them the city's own, put aside some funding where we can hire local contractors, local Trentonians, rebuild those homes and put them back onto market and make them available to our homeowners at a rate that they can afford. Because we've tried something in the past, but the problem was that the homeowners, when we tried to sell the homes for $1 to $10,000, that most homeowners' credit score was not good enough for the bank, and so they weren't able to purchase those homes. But if we take the matters into our own hands and we put Trentonians to work, we rebuild Trenton because we don't take. We will provide opportunity here in the city of Trenton for our residents. Thank you.
This question is for candidate Latigue. What will be done about cleaning up downtown? It's a mess.
Agreed. A large part of that belongs to the merchants. I've been around for a while and have a track record to prove it. And one of my biggest initiatives was just do your own block. The residents that are downtown, the merchants, are responsible for cleaning up in front of their store. If somebody drops a pizza box 100 times a day, they're selling the pizza, they have to get out there. Code enforcement is going to be important, and the merchants are going to have to participate. They are a part of our community, and the majority of them don't live here.
Thank you. Candidate Perez, what initiatives will you look to work with our new governor, Governor Murphy, in establishing a new relationship with the capital city?
That's a wonderful question. Because what we really need to establish right away with our new governor, who I know because we endorsed as the vice president of the Latino Leadership Alliance of the state of New Jersey, is that Trenton now has a government that you can trust. Trenton now has a government that can count money. Trenton now has a government that is responsive to the needs of the people. And Trenton now has a city hall that understands our role, which is to keep our people safe, and to work together with the other levels of government to ensure that we do our promises. Our promises to keep them safe, clean water, clean streets, potholes gone, establishing the economic development of the city, so on and so forth. But we can't do that if we don't establish instant credibility. I hope to bring instant credibility to the table so that when I reach across and I shake his hand, he sees me as a peer and not a subordinate.
Thank you. This question is for candidate Bethea. What policy proposal do you have to address the water quality and administrative leadership within the filtration plant?
We've had some issues with our water situation over at the plant, and it's still unclear about who, what, when. But let me say this. Our water situation is very serious, and I will take that very serious. And we will have the top quality of water as we used to have before this debacle became apparent. And we will change that. Now, one of the things that we can do, we can reach out to our high school, and we can fill those so-called vacancies, and we should have had them filled 20 years ago. We're a little late getting to the party, but we can do this. And we have to make sure our residents are a part of the solution. And we can do this, and I don't see a problem with getting in, assessing that situation, and correcting it within the first 90 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gusiora, where are you going to get the money to fund your initiatives without raising taxes?
Well, again, you have to go to the government. I don't have to introduce myself to Governor Murphy. I was the first legislator to endorse him. I don't have to introduce myself to Sheila Oliver, our lieutenant governor. I sat next to her for the last 10 years in the legislature. And I don't have to introduce myself to Catherine McCabe, the DEP commissioner, to overlook the water department, because I've had conversations with her about that. So the next mayor has to establish that partnership with the state. We have to bring in higher revenue from the state. And if we have a true partnership, we don't have to go to our citizens to increase property taxes. I don't want to pay any more property taxes. And we just went through a revaluation that there were some losers and some winners. But the state has to kick in. 50% of our property in Trenton is tax-exempt properties. And unless they make up for that, we're going to have to go back to our own residents.
Thank you. This is for candidate Worthy. Will you be supporting the Trenton police chaplains?
Chaplain.
That's what the question says.
Oh,
Chaplain
yes.
in the police department.
We do need prayer.
This is our last audience question, and then we'll have closing remarks. 60 seconds from each. Candidate Green, what is an entertainment zone? Does Trenton need 2 such zones?
I think we certainly need to look at entertainment in Trenton as something we need to move forward to, but I think our focus, again, when we begin to look at all these phenomenal initiatives that are proposed, look at the historical waste that has occurred in Trenton. Whether you're talking about many police stations where nobody sits at, whether you're talking about the hotel which has dumped millions into it, all of these amazing initiatives are always put out there, and they're looking to be so appetizing. But Trenton and Trentonians never benefit from these places. So again, before I start looking at entertainment, I'm not looking to be entertained. I'm looking to educate and empower the citizens who live here to begin to work on what we have now. And I think we need to have an itemized look at each department. We need to have an itemized look at what's going on in City Hall and begin to move forward from there with a clear and concise understanding and a vision of what we have, where we need to go, instead of stretching to the outside, instead of looking at the inside first. So again, I'm not looking to deal with entertainment, anything of that nature, until we solidify Trenton. And again, when you look at the murders and the bodies on the streets that occur here daily, who is coming here to be entertained? We need to clean this city up and get it right first, and then we can move it forward.
All right. For each candidate, we have 1 minute you have for your closing remarks, beginning with you, candidate Worthy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Trentonian. Thank you, Mercer County Community College, Dr. Wong, for hosting us tonight. I can see that people are enthusiastic and ready for a new mayor, but I want you to elect me as mayor of Trenton. Elect me because I'm committed to you. Elect me because you're tired of broken promises. Elect me because you know I have the experience and the relationships to turn this city around. Elect me because I am committed and commitment counts.
Candidate Harrison, thank you.
Listen, I'm Duncan Harrison, and I'm running for mayor of Trenton because I'm qualified, committed to the city of Trenton. When I talk about home ownership in the city of Trenton, I talk about it because I'm a homeowner. When I talk about taxes in the city of Trenton, I talk about it because my taxes went up. When I talk about education here in the city of Trenton, I'm raising 3 kids on Rutherford Avenue, so I understand the importance of a good educational foundation for their success. When I talk about crime in the city of Trenton, I can talk about it because I live on Rutherford Avenue, and when the gunshots go off on Stuyvesant, when the gunshots go off on Hermitage, there's only so many times you can explain to a child that those are firecrackers and not gunshots. I didn't have the opportunity to sit around for 10 years and wait and watch the deterioration of our city. I've been on the ground since day one, and I've got involved in public service because I believe that public service is not lip service. It's about active service. My wife is a graduate, has her master's in psychology from North Carolina A&T, started her PhD at Howard University, and she's a Dolly Home girl. So when you vote for me, you vote for her, and you get the full package here in the city of Trenton. Thank you.
Candidate Green.
I want to thank everyone for the opportunity here, and I'm glad people are engaged now. But I'm looking to transform the educational system so people stop riding by Hedgepath Williams and not know that that was the linchpin in terms of Brown versus the Board of Education. Our babies need to know the history they come from so they can begin to be the amazing people they need to be. I'm looking to be a mayor here like Maynard Jackson, who transformed Atlanta by making sure the millions of dollars that came into the city stayed in the city by investing in the people who are here. And I'm looking to have public safety be commanded by officers like Jamar Booker and Chris Munn, who will walk into a Starbucks and not arrest anyone, but be able to de-escalate the system because they are of, for, and about the community and be able to move this community forward. There's a greatness at this moment. There's a greatness waiting for you to happen on May 8th. Don't go with people who've been in office for over 20 years and have kept this city in a state of dysfunction. Go with someone who's bold, who's brilliant, and is looking to commit this city to the level of excellence it deserves to be. James Baldwin said it best: the impossible is the least we can demand.
Next candidate, thank you. Candidate Lateague.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. As we talk about all the great things we want to do, I want you to remember that the city has a budget of approximately $19 million, a tax rate of 346, and less than 50% revenue to run it. It's going to require some skill, some knowledge, skill, and ability to do it. I'm asking you to vote for me, not because I thought about it. I've been around here, and many of you have seen my work. Look at the plaza over there in Pennington Avenue. Look at the senior citizen building. Look at Hill Refrigeration. Look at sustainable economic. I know how to get it done. I've done it before. I have the experience. I have the hope, and I believe in people. I went to Trenton High. I went to Junior 5, which is now Rivera. I went to Cadwater School. I've been here. I didn't come back. I've been here. And I'm grateful to be a part of this city. There's some great people here. If you can't find one, be one.
Thank you. Candidate Gutierrez.
That's a T-shirt.
Thank you again for hosting this. I've been a fighter for the city of Trenton in the legislature, and whether it's getting the high school off on the ground, getting the hazardous waste off the Martin Luther King site, the middle school site, or whether it's getting a housing track on the Magic Marker site, I've been there. And I've worked alongside Senator Shirley K. Turner and Assemblywoman Bonnie Watson Coleman along fighting for Trenton. I want to be the champion of the neighborhoods. I want to look at focus. The next mayor has to focus on each of the neighborhoods and getting it right, getting them cleaned up, getting the illegal dumping off of the alleys, getting the potholes filled. And that's something that the mayor can realistically do. I've always fought for the city of Trenton in the legislature, and I'd like to fight for the residents and be your champion in the city hall. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Candidate Perez.
Thank you very much, Trentonian. Thank you very much, Mercer County, for having us here this evening. It's a very important time in the city's history. Everyone here, if we ask them what the problems are, they know what the problems are. There's no question about that. then there's a problem of how do we go about fixing it? I'm running for mayor because I'm a proven senior executive with the skill sets to get the job done. You know, everybody talks about this, that, and everything else that they want to do, but there's a team down at City Hall that everybody forgets about, that all the responsibility falls on their shoulders. And if we don't understand that we're responsible for developing that team so that they can professionalize themselves and then provide you a service that you deserve, then you've missed the point. You can't get anything done without professionalizing the force in City Hall first. That is my priority because I want to guarantee you the services that you need as your next mayor of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bethea.
For the last 40 years, I have not just talked the talk, I've walked the walk. I've served as council for the last 8 years. I've served in your school system for 40 years. My wife is a graduate of Trenton Central High School, and we have 9 kids, 7 boys and 2 girls. All of my sons graduated from Trenton High School. 5 out of 7 are Ivy League graduates. Trenton High School, unheard of anywhere in America. We did it. The only state champion, Trenton High School, come from my household, not by accident, but by design. We did it. And we moved here so that we could make Trenton better. For the last 40 years, I've given you everything I had. And I only ask you for one thing, to make me mayor of this city so we can turn this city around. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We wish to thank the Trentonian and Mercer County Community College for hosting this debate. Drop the mic. Our thanks to the candidates for their cooperation and to those of you who asked questions. You can continue to explore the candidates' positions by visiting their websites and Facebook pages and attending further election events before May 8th. There will be another mayoral debate on Tuesday, April the 17th at Trinity Cathedral, sponsored by the West Ward Civic Associations. Hey, you've seen and you've heard these candidates. Now do something about what you've seen and heard. There's that saying, you see something, say something. Yeah, do something. Thank you very much.